Hey guys, welcome to Picksburgh. Excited to introduce a brand new podcast to you. This is the very first Achieve More podcast starring myself and Huddle Card Collection, aka Michael. Really excited to be back doing another podcast with you, Michael. We have done podcast in the past called Collecting Profit, which you still host every Wednesday night. You want to give us just a rundown of what's going on over at Huddle Card Collection?
Hey, first, man, this is fantastic. This is great. Couldn't be happier to go ahead and be back on air with you. Looking forward to this. This is going to be, different than what you guys saw from us in the past, but it's still going to be the same great types of content. So looking forward to that. As far as Huddle's going, man, we're doing everything we got to do. We're actually I'm gonna start doing some more breaks and stuff like that, but I still got videos, still have the collecting profit show, still doing rip and chips and everything. So just very, very busy, man. Very, very busy between that, the eBay store and regular work.
That's awesome, man.
Staying busy, my man. Staying busy.
That's great. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been super busy myself, which is, I mean, that's something we're going to talk about here. Just, different things people do to overcome, or different ways people have become successful, whether it's through their job or, through even their hobbies. So I'm excited today. We do have a special guest. But before we get into that, just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown. You can expect something new like this every single week. Michael and I are going to be inviting on people that have done really awesome things in the business world. We're going to be inviting on different people that have overcome like tremendous things and are here on the other side. And the whole reason we want to bring this kind of content to you guys is because we believe that you can achieve more than what the world would say that you are meant to achieve. Like for example, myself, like I come from a single parent family, very low income. The world would have said that I would not have amounted to much. So I've already far and away over exceeded kind of what my limitations were. Now I'm nowhere near where I want to go, but I believe that if I was able to do something cool with my life, anybody can do something cool with their life. And the whole preface of this podcast is to be able to share what people are doing and to show you that if this person did it, there's no reason you can't do it too. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, make sure you give us a subscribe. This is also going to be streaming on all podcast platforms, so make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platform as well. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you also come over to YouTube and subscribe to Picksburgh and Huddle Card Collection. That's both Michael and I's YouTube channel. That's where we produce regular content. That's also going to be the only place you can actually watch video footage of the show. So you'll actually be able to see our beautiful faces if you come over to YouTube. Also, one thing that we've talked about is we want to do at least one live version of the show. It'll be to start off on YouTube. Eventually, if it gets large enough, maybe it'll be an in-person live event, but that'll be hosted either on Picksburgh or Huddle Card Collection, or even simultaneously streamed to both. So we're still talking about that, but that's something you guys could look forward to, perhaps maybe once a month, or once every other month. So really looking forward to that. But without further ado, we do have our very first guest on the brand new podcast. And this is a new guest to the podcast, but definitely not a new guest to the channel. If you guys have been watching for any length of time over the last 2 years, you might have seen somebody that we call the lady fella. And I actually know her as Irene.
Hey guys.
Hey,
So,
Irene.
Irene, do you want to let us know how you got the moniker Lady Fella? Everybody seems to want to know this.
I actually forget half the time on how I got it. I think it originally came from mocking one of his favorite people to mock. and who was Southern, and
it was paying homage, if you will, to one of my favorite YouTubers that there is, who has one of the most amazing Southern accents. When we first started dating, I'd answer the phone, "Say there, Miss Lady Fella," and it just kind of stuck.
And it made me laugh.
So whenever she'd be in my videos, people would be like, "Who is that? Is that your girlfriend?" I'd be like, "No, that's my lady fella." So
I'm the lady fella.
So that's kind of how she became the lady fella, but like her real name is actually Irene. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to have her on the podcast.
So hi, Picksburgh.
Yeah,
because she has done some achieving in her life. The one reason I actually wanted to bring you on was at your last birthday party. We were in California. One of your like closest friends that you grew up with basically said, "I'm so surprised that you're now a nurse, literally traveling all over the world doing this stuff. Like, I never would have thought you would have left your little corner of California." And meanwhile, like you've traveled many different countries, many different states, cities, all over the world, nursing. So how did this start? Like what made you want to be a nurse? Going back to that moment with your friend too, what do you feel like you had to overcome to want to kind of leave that little corner of California and actually go and become a nurse all over the world?
So there was a couple of different things going on. First, when my friend said that, I didn't realize, because it was such a slow transition, I didn't realize how far I had actually come. But looking back 15 years ago, I was really shy. I went home every weekend as a freshman in college. I didn't want to branch out. I really did have my own little corner.
Mm-hmm.
But change in life is really inevitable. And through subtle things, I have become the person I am today. And hopefully will continue to grow. But with nursing, honestly, it's something I've always really wanted to do since I was a little kid. And it hit a few bumps in the road, definitely. Ended up with a bachelor's in sociology, worked, and then ended up going back for nursing, and then got my associates, and then ended up getting my bachelor's in nursing also. And now, 8 years later, I am still proud to say that I'm a nurse. And with the mission aspect of it, I did go to a Christian college, and I did do mission work in college, which was really, really, really cool. And it was something I always really wanted to do with nursing, is to be able to take it overseas. And I am very glad to say that I have actually been able to do that with a couple of different countries. And then I'm also going to Cambodia in September with a company that I've done missionary work with before. And I am so excited to be going again.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. What does it look like practicing medicine on the mission field? Like how different is it from what we see on TV with Grey's Anatomy? I'd imagine it's quite different.
Nursing in the States is different than Grey's Anatomy. So there is, I've also seen two very different sides. One being in Africa, where there was barely any healthcare, and us coming and doing 3 days of clinic in a small village was so welcomed because they did not have that. And in a village of like 1,500 people. So no healthcare access, on a regular basis at all. The government would randomly go through and do vaccines or do required stuff, but for them to get Tylenol, they wouldn't have that.
Wow.
For them to get stomach pain medicine, Pepsid or Tums, they didn't have that. And so much stuff that I would take for granted. And then I've also been to Jamaica where they do have healthcare readily available and people do go to the doctors more regularly. But they were still welcoming the mission work. So not only did we spread Jesus and they were open to that, but just to get a simple blood pressure check. They were more focused on the simple things than they didn't have a list of complaints and want every medication in the book. They were more focused and just wanted a simple checkup so they would come to the clinic instead of going to the doctor. So I'm actually excited to see how Cambodia mindset is and see how it is over there.
Are these long trips? The reason why I ask is, so when my daughter was in college, she went on a medical mission trip to Honduras. So obviously, I think she was there 7-10 days or so, and so like, for instance, when she went, one of the things that they had to do was they basically had to bring everything that they could because they didn't even like have the supplies and stuff. So however many people there were, they basically they told them, look, get the biggest piece of luggage that you can, and they filled it all up with the supplies, and they go, your clothes are going to be a carry-on, and and stuff like that. Is that the type of stuff or is it different? Is that a different type of mission trip than what you did?
So we do, for most of the time, bring in medications. We work with a company that we get them cheaper, and that does to the mission field. So we could bring in some stuff. Some countries are different that we do have to buy stuff in country. The company pays for all the travel, all the transportation, all the hotels, all of our food, and we also give the locals who are cooking our food some money for that service and for helping us out.
Cool.
We also usually have translators, and we give them a little bit. We also provide meals for them. So we make sure that I've done a couple of trips with them, and this is why I have done them repeatedly, because I really like how they treat the locals, and that it is more a partnership. And I also feel very safe with them.
Yeah, that's very important.
Going to the middle of Africa, which could be a dangerous area, but I felt safe the entire time I was there.
Speaking of
and these trips are between a week or two.
So speaking of going to these places and dealing with some of these locals that are preparing your food, I know you have a very unique story of helping the locals prepare food. Would you be able to share this with the audience?
What story are you talking about?
It involves you, a giant machete in Panama.
Oh. That story.
Yes, that story.
The story that kind of scares Picksburgh here.
Yeah. This is a red flag, guys.
So, I have a very strange sense of humor sometimes, and things that I want to do are sometimes very, very strange. I've always wanted to kill a sheep and like butcher one and like random stuff. I also grew up with chickens, and my grandfather had cows, and so eating stuff that I saw alive and now ate was okay with me. But so we were really, really honored in this one outskirts of Panama Village that we were at, that they were living off the land. These people had nothing. They had no running water. They had no electricity. Literally, the chickens that were running around, that's how they got dinner. And the vegetables that they grew, that's how they got food. So we were really honored that one of the village people donated a calf to our team.
A calf.
A calf. A cow.
Cow.
And so this cow, I come into the story like halfway through because I was unaware that they were actually like going out and killing.
She said what had happened was
the cow, because they come in with these huge legs of cow, literally with skin on, like still bloody. They string it up on a post, and they were gonna skin it and cut it up. And all the men will usually do this. And one of the Panamanian doctors that we were working with asked if she could help, and I'm like, I want to help too.
Of course.
So I got in there and skinned this cow.
Sleep with one eye open, and Anthony, sleep with one eye
do.
open.
I'll tell you what, I do not feel safe right now. I'm blinking. Somebody please, if you're watching this or listening to this in audio format, I've blinked several times by now. Please call help.
He has survived another year after this.
So you join in, you do this. I'm just so you're saying if they're living off the land, kind of remote village type thing, when they take a cow that is not a little baby animal but a larger animal, how do they preserve it so you don't get sick?
So they actually smoked it that night.
Oh.
So we cut it up into pieces. We did one leg, and then the men did the other three. So, and then they cut it up, and they had this smoking stack that they had built, and they smoked it, and that's what we had for dinner that night.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool. Never seen anything like that before.
That is an experience.
I might be a little surprised if I see that happening, but
I also have a very funny picture. I think it's funny. Of me literally sitting there skinning a cow.
There you go.
And then, so I don't know if that was the story that you were talking about.
No, that was definitely the one.
Oh, okay.
The one that still scares me to this day. Yes, that was it.
But I also do have a actual Panamanian machete that I bought at a store that I brought home with me.
She does. One of the very first things I ever saw at her apartment was a giant machete. And I was like, oh, what's that doing here? Did I just like go on a date with Michael Myers? What's going on?
I also have a strange passion for pointy things and sharp things. So he hasn't even seen my full dagger collection. It's not that big, but I do have one dagger that I am fully proud of because I bought it at a Renaissance fair years ago.
Oh, wow.
And its designs were, it was in between Celtic and flowers, and it randomly had flamingos on it. And it's about a 6-inch blade, but there's about 2 inches by the hilt that is serrated.
Oh, wow.
and it's really scary looking. And it's on both sides. And
Very nice.
so I actually gave it to one of my friends who was doing leather working, and she created me a sheath that covered the entire blade, and it actually has Celtic symbols all over it, and it's a really gorgeous sheath. But it's a really fun dagger.
That's really cool.
That actually goes into another segment that I had planned where we were going to kind of get off the topic of work and kind of what you do and what you achieve, and get into kind of what you enjoy, which obviously you enjoy collecting sharp things that could end my life, which is, again, scary. What other type of hobbies do you have?
I do sit down and binge watch a couple of things. TV shows that I've watched a million times, usually.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy scrapbooking.
Mm-hmm.
I have made a scrapbook of every cruise that we've been on recently. And I've actually made Anthony a book for every year that we've been together.
Yes,
very cool.
They're awesome. They're really cool.
And I go month by month of what we've done and plug in pictures and favorite pictures of us. I started doing it because I realized people have pictures on phones and they don't ever come off phones.
True.
So we used to print them and enjoy a scrap photo album, and we've kind of lost that. What else? I love the movies.
So is your scrapbooking, is it?
It's online.
Digital. So it's digital. You do it all digitally and then print it out and put it in a book, put it in a binder and everything.
So there is a website that I really like called Mixbook that you do the entire book online, and then they actually print out a book for you.
Oh, very cool.
So I do a 10 by 10 book. It seems to be a nice size, and they have so many different options, but yeah, these could be anywhere from like 5-page photo albums to, I think I have close to 100-page photo album from one of my trips. And yeah.
Do you have to use like their software to make a book, or can you like do your own thing? Let's say you had a scrapbooking program. Could you do all of it in there and then import it?
They have stickers, they have layouts, they have backgrounds.
Oh wow.
Anthony's pulling up the website here. So if you go to the photo books, so they have some preset ones.
Oh, very cool.
So just go to that Explore one. So you could do a quick preview of that Explore one. And these are like some of the examples that they have. There's pages. So you could plug in your own pictures here. And there's also like text that you could put in. There's stickers that you could put in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you could change like all the wording on all this. You could change the size of all the pictures. Instead of having like 3 pictures on one page that they have, you could change it to like 4. Like really cool pictures. You could have like over 2 pages and span it, which I've done for like more of the panoramic pictures.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned doing one of these for the cruises we've gone on recently.
Yes.
I mean, obviously I know you, so I know that you're a big fan of travel. Is there any places that you'd like to go and make scrapbooks of?
Well, I did recently do a video that's currently on the Picksburgh channel of my bucket list. It includes Australia, which I'm excited to say that we are going to in January. It includes Paul's missionary journeys. It includes seeing the 7 wonders of the world. It includes, oh my gosh, what else does it include? Like going to the Olympics, possibly seeing the ball drop in Times Square. Oh my gosh, what is that? Going to the Kentucky Derby.
So you got a whole vast
I have
array
a
of places
list.
you want to go.
Well, it's good
Yeah.
because it's not like this. It's not. I mean, it's a very wide variety of different types of events, also, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So traveling, would you prefer? If so, not a destination like you're going to see something specific, not like a Kentucky Derby, one of those type of things. Would you? But would it be? Would you rather go on a cruise or like go to a resort where you get to go ahead and hang out? Even though I know they're kind of sort of the same thing, one just doesn't stay still. The other one, though, they drop you off. You're on the beach. You're good to go.
So I like to explore everything around. So I'm more the cruise, and because if I'm at a resort, I feel like I'm not experiencing where I'm at.
Yeah, good point.
Experiencing the country, experiencing the culture, experiencing the food. You're there, and on a like even on a cruise when we're at port, it's let's go take a tour of the city or go wander around. Some of it is geared towards tourists, yes, but you do get to interact with the people.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, it was too far away when we were in Dominican Republic. There was a gigantic celebration going on like downtown, but it was a couple miles away, so we did not do that. But like, it would have been fun if it was closer and if it was more doable. But even like we hung out with a local who was a tour guide, saw some of the sites, went to the town square and kind of saw the touristy things, but it is still a part of the culture.
Would you say that it was your love of travel that got you into wanting to become a travel nurse and a missions nurse?
It is. It did combine two of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, there's one thing of going and visiting a place for 2 weeks, but as a travel nurse, I'm there for at least 13. I have an apartment. I have to figure out where to shop. But it also gives me, in Seattle, I was there during the winter and I really wanted to go see Mount Rainier. If I was there for 2 weeks, it wouldn't have happened because it was snowing all the time.
Right.
And it took me 3 times to get up to see Mount Rainier. But because I was there for so long, it was like, hey, this is actually a decent time to go. Let's go.
So what's interesting, so I've had to travel also. What's interesting about that is when you get there and you look and you go, oh, it's Mount Rainier. It's right there. It's so dang big, you don't realize how far away it is. You keep driving and like I remember a buddy of mine, we were driving, and next thing you know, we must have been driving for an hour or so, and all of a sudden you see a sign, Mount Rainier, 125 more miles. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, how the heck are we not there?
Yeah.
Because it's so big, you think it's so much closer to you than it actually is.
This is very Seattle. True. Yeah. And everybody talks about it in Seattle, and it's the big thing to go to. And
they make it sound like it's right around the corner. Yeah, you just go down the road. You hit Mount Rainier. No, you don't just go. Yeah, you just go down the road, but they forget a long time.
For like 3 hours.
From that standpoint.
Yeah.
So out of all the places you've actually gone and practiced medicine professionally, all the different states, countries, is there a favorite assignment that you've had?
It's funny because I get asked that a lot. And it's strange because all of my assignments have been so different. One of my favorite cities, I do have to say, is Seattle. I loved the city. I actually do like the rain, so I did not mind it, especially in the winter. It's funny because if there is a sunny day, everybody is outside.
Oh, I bet.
Everybody's in the parks. It was kind of bizarre. I did Alabama because I wanted to experience the South. Cleveland was closer to you, so but it was cool seeing the Great Lakes, or at least Lake Erie is right there.
I mean, wasn't one of your most favorite ones Los Angeles?
Well, San Diego I did do. I didn't do Los Angeles as a travel.
Oh, okay.
She's from LA.
I'm from LA, so I was actually worked there. San Diego was fun because I was close to family, but I also was working a staff job in LA, and they're 2 hours apart, so I was driving back and forth constantly. San Francisco was fun because I actually walked to work.
Oh, wow.
Was it up a giant hill?
It was up a giant hill, but
There's nothing but giant hills in San Francisco.
You wouldn't do that today, though.
Oh my God.
But then it meant it was downhill on the way home when I was tired.
One misstep and you're in trouble.
Well, yeah.
Well, they have cable cars to catch you.
I actually took Anthony up that giant hill next to work.
She sure did.
In a little toy car.
And I almost died, which is also on the channel. Fun fact, I still have a scar from that little toy car that we had to drive around. And funner fact, the reason I had to go in that is because I lost a pack battle versus you.
Yes, you did. You lost.
I don't even remember what it was over, but it was a pack battle. And
probably Marvel.
And now I have a scar on my leg. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It happens, man.
Happens to the best of us, I guess.
That's it. You never know what happens.
So let me ask you this.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I mean, so you're talking about traveling and you're talking about nursing and everything. But now don't you have a new thing that goes ahead and take as part of your traveling now also?
Well, I did leave the travel behind. I actually took a staff job at a hospital in Pittsburgh. So, yes. And I actually just started yesterday.
All right.
So, I'm really excited about the new chapter.
Congratulations.
And officially moving to Pittsburgh. Well, apartment is forthcoming, and I will officially have a Pittsburgh address. So
now you got to go get your stuff and drive across the country?
Get it across the country, yes.
Yeah, that'll be challenging. But we've done it before. We'll do it again.
Hey, you know what? Maybe there'll be some Lorcana tournaments you can go ahead and work your way around.
Not a bad idea.
I mean, I do have to drive through Texas. Isn't there stuff in Texas?
There's a huge card show in Texas we can stop at.
So
I'm more than happy to stop through Dallas anytime.
And I have done this cross-country road trip 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah, she's no stranger to it.
Nomad.
Yes.
You really are a nomad.
I was a nomad for 4 years. I literally lived out of my car. Or whatever could fit in my car.
So with all of these places that you've traveled and gone, all the things you've done professionally, what's like the thing you're most proud of that you've achieved as a nurse?
Honestly, I'm proud of being a nurse.
That's cool.
I love my job. I love what I do. I love helping people.
You love stabbing people with needles. Tell us the truth.
I am a vampire at work sometimes, and I do have to draw blood. some patients have laughed at me because they're like, "You enjoyed that way too much."
You're like, yeah, I did.
Actually, that was more waxing people than stabbing people.
You have to wax people as a nurse?
Well, if you take off heart electrodes off of people
Ew.
who have
Oh
really
yeah,
hard
yeah,
chest,
that
I'm
hurts.
like, sorry, there's no easy way to do it.
Right.
To rip it off.
Yeah, that would not be fun.
I'm like, either you do it or I could do it. They're like, just go for it. So,
Wow.
Every nurse is sorry, but I think deep down inside, there's a little bit of them that enjoys it.
it's like I have to do it.
Look! She's not denying it. She's not denying it.
We have a very strange
That's like her favorite part of the
sense
job.
of humor sometimes. We could help a patient to the restroom and go have lunch in the same 5 minutes. Like, I love that I've been able to take nursing where I have. I like, it's actually a dream come true that I've been able to do missionary work nursing. And been able to just travel around the country and do it.
Yeah, especially with other people paying for it. It's the best part, huh?
So I've really enjoyed the journey. It was a hard time getting here, but it was worth every teardrop, every long night, every 6 o'clock in the morning drive.
What was the hardest part about it, you say?
Nursing school sucks. Flat out. Nursing school sucks. They expect a lot, but of course, people's lives are in my hands every single day as a bedside nurse. And they cram a lot. You have to do good in it. It's critical thinking. It's thinking beyond the box. It's connecting way too many dots.
Yeah.
It's memorizing so much too. And not only are you doing adults, but you're doing peds and labor and delivery along with it. Those are small sections of it, but still, like, technically I learned it.
Yeah.
Never done it in practice, but
Well, I don't know what it's actually like, but I know from the experience because my daughter Nicole's, getting ready to start her 4th year of medical school, where she does, her auditioning and more rotations and stuff, and you can, see how hard it is on, on her and her friends and everything to try and do and keep up and stuff, and it's like, when you're a student, the things they expect you to know, which really are some of the things are more that you learn with some experience also, but they kind of expect,
I've realized really is a trade school, which I used to not agree with, but it's changed my mind on now. Like, you come out of school and you actually are qualified to do a job.
Yep.
Yeah. A specific job, but a decent job at that too. And during nursing school, friendships go on the wayside. Family goes on the wayside. Like,
yes, we do.
You live and breathe what you're studying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to work a job in between all this, and thankfully they were flexible because sometimes they would throw another clinical day or skills day in there. It's like, hold on, I have to rearrange this. I was single at the time, and I was actually kind of glad I was, because I don't know if I would have been able to balance everything. And I gave props to the people who were married and had kids or young kids and had to do daycare and
oh yeah,
find somebody to do everything. So I have no idea how they did it.
Yeah,
I barely got myself through.
that'd be tough.
It is
but,
like you said. I mean, I see what my daughter has gone through for the last 3 years, and to your point, how there are people that have to work also and do this. I
Mm.
I just don't get it, because when every time we call her, what are you doing? Studying. What are you doing? Studying. 3 days later, what are you doing? Studying. It's just, so I can only imagine, to your point, I mean, how people could do this kind of stuff and
yeah.
still, you know, be able to do other stuff. So it's I don't know, it's mind-boggling to me.
I
But you,
had sometimes a standing study date with a friend who was a TA. And so she would sit there and grade papers, and I would sit there and study, and we would take breaks and talk. Or sometimes it was, we have to get this done, and we just sat there and studied side by side and hung out that way. Or it was seeing friends for lunch after church because that was like my one break, and then it was back to studying until like midnight. So,
Is there anything that you wish they would have taught you in nursing school that you didn't learn, that you had to learn the hard way once you actually hit like the real world, so to speak?
so there always is a shift between book nursing and real life nursing. Like sometimes it's finding your own way of how to balance 4 to 6 patients and everything be on your plate and your shoulders. They try to teach communication, but sometimes it's trial by fire, and you learn it when you have to do it on the floor. They try to get you in every situation possible. And like if there's something going on the floor, a really sick patient, they're like, go ask questions or go see if you could at least watch and see what's going on, to try to absorb it. So what have I had to learn? Now you're making me think back to like 7 years ago when I was a new nurse.
Yeah, it's been a while, huh?
Yeah, it has. I forget how long.
I mean,
it's
if there's
been.
nothing like right off the top of your head, I mean, I didn't know if there was like, they talk about this welcome to the NFL or welcome to like the NBA moment, like where it's like, oh, that's the first time I got smacked in my mouth from like an all pro. Like, what's the first time you got like smacked in your mouth by a patient and you're like, oh, this is different than school? I mean, not an actual like, hey, whack, but
yeah.
like,
well, I mean,
yeah,
so was it ever? I know it's not the right 2 words to use, but was there a point when it was like really hard? Was there a point when it was easy? And I know that's probably not the right word, but you know what I'm saying? Like, was there a point where you kind of were like, man, you know what? I got this. I belong. I'm going to be able to go ahead and do this. I made the right choice. I know I'm on the right track.
About 6 months in, 9 months into my first job, where I had been a nurse for a while. I was on my own. I was getting my routine down. I was like, I could do this. It wasn't me fumbling all the time through everything. Even through like giving meds and turning and making sure I round on every single one of my patients every hour. So those things, like, as time goes on, gets easier and easier.
Is that fairly common in like new nurses, doctors, like to kind of be a little bit green, or like Michael and I are sports guys, so like, is it noticeable to see a rookie nurse?
Yeah, I know the ones who have
like
either.
you can tell the ones that are a little bit green from the ones that are a little bit more seasoned.
It's actually, I think we're about a year from it now. After COVID. And the people going through nursing school during COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about them because they didn't have the hands-on experience.
Yep.
As much as we did.
That makes sense.
I was like,
yeah.
Yep, you're a COVID nurse.
Yeah, no, you're right. Their learning was very different than yours.
Yeah.
They had no interaction. Their interaction was like ours right now, right? No human. I mean, it was human interaction, but it was on a video screen. It wasn't, an actual, touchy feely,
and a lot of and that's all nursing is. It's human interaction, and it's all skills on a person, or certain, like inserting an IV. Like, you could practice on fake arms, but I think I don't know. I think they had to do it on like a water bottle or something.
Yeah.
So they had to simulate so much, and I'm like, okay, yep, you're a COVID nurse. And so that was, that's the recent thing that I was like, oh my gosh.
Speaking of COVID nurses, what was it like being a nurse during COVID? Like, how insane must that have been?
For a while, every day was changing. Policies were changing. How we were treating patients was changing. So it was going into work and kind of not knowing. Or getting multiple emails of the supplies that we had and what we were doing. Are we reusing masks? Are we throwing them away even? Do we have fabric gowns? Do we have plastic gowns? Do we? And just, I think, and it was a mental preparation too of, and that was a whole learning curve in itself of, because we wanted to limit our exposure also. So
yeah, obviously, yeah.
It was going in the room when we absolutely had to, or bundling things and writing on chalkboards, or
what was that like? I mean, was that scary to like put yourself in an environment where you could potentially contract COVID? Or were you just in the mindset like, hey, these people are suffering, I need to get in there and do what I can do to help them? Or is it maybe a little bit of both?
There's always this fear that we could contract it and get sick, because we knew, and I was an ICU nurse at the time, so I saw the worst of the worst. But it was in California before the huge wave hit, so seeing just people on massive amounts of oxygen, like stuff that I hadn't seen before. Like, it was like, hold on, this is even possible? Like, yeah, it was a very, very weird time.
Did it seem kind of like the world was ending for a while there, or like from like a nurse's perspective? Because like from the outside, I'm like, Lord, is this the end times? Like, well, what the heck's going on over here? Like, this is wild. Like what was your perspective as like a medical professional?
I think I was just more in the moment. and trying to go day by day and do the best I could by my patients. And
Yeah.
It was, but it was also like units turning into ICUs and COVID units. So that was a little new too. Yeah, there was so many unknowns. Like even in the midst of it at the hospital, like it was having the open mind of what are we doing? Kind of trusting the flow also, and going with it and doing my best.
Yeah. I give you props. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't even imagine having to be out there and be an essential worker and like actually putting your life on the line to help other people. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, do you have any role models like when it comes to nursing, or like for example, it could be somebody that's done something great in life that you just look up to, but is there somebody that inspired you to want to do this, or is there somebody that has kind of mentored you since you've done this that's been kind of impactful towards your career?
Sorry. I really haven't had a mentor through all this. It was honestly, I think I feel so confident in like this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And giving me that piece of this is what you're supposed to be doing. Which is why I think I love it so much. There are people that I've met along the way that have given me good advice, that have told me like good next steps. I was, as a new nurse, I was actually glad I took the advice of one of my nursing instructors. So one day we were just sitting around in a circle of, hey, like you've known us for a semester. You've seen us, and this was literally first semester of nursing school. Or third semester. I think it was third, actually. And we're like, what kind of a nurse do you think we would be? And she actually told me ICU, but it would also, she gave the good advice of starting in a normal hospital unit. And I'm glad I took that advice because it transferred, because the patients are more stable, and it transferred book knowledge to nursing knowledge, to real life work. It got my time management down. It got my patient care down. There were actually a couple of CNAs on that unit that I still use their skills today. And I've done things that I've actually taught other nurses that CNAs have taught me. Of like either bathing a patient or turning a patient, and that just make it so much easier. Or I don't know, on hard days and one of the things I like about nursing is that yes, you have your own patients, but there's always somebody around to pick your brain, for me to pick their brain, or for me to ask a question of. I am never truly alone on a unit.
That's got to be pretty nice, especially dealing with the magnitude of somebody's life.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. Hey, this doesn't look right. What do you think?
Yeah.
Even a couple weeks ago, I had that, and I'm like, I've exhausted all the options in my brain. What do you think? I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. Am I missing anything? Can I be doing any other interventions? And like because of it, like I ended up doing something and helped the patient out. So
That's awesome.
That's what matters at the end of the day.
100%.
yes, it does.
You know.
So moving into another segment here we want to try out on the podcast. This is called No Dumb Questions. If you guys have any dumb questions that you would like to ask any of our guests, or you'd like to even ask Irene, you can go ahead and leave that in the comment section wherever you're listening / viewing this podcast. But again, every single week we'll be back with a new guest, and feel free to fire off those no dumb questions. This one came from social media. And the question is, would you rather have coworkers love you and your manager hates you, or would you rather have your coworkers hate you and your manager love you?
A
I
question.
don't see my manager that often. So and I don't have to work with my manager day to day. I would honestly rather my coworkers love me, because it could make or break a day. It could make or break a unit. Cohesiveness on a unit is so important. Being able to help each other out is so important. Being able to knowing that when I call for help, somebody will come because they do not hate me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess looking at it from that perspective, if you're not around your manager that often, and it's probably better to have one butthole than a whole crew of buttholes.
But I do have to say I work night shifts, so management is not around that
much. So I guess that does help.
I mean, day shift could, they hear about all the issues on the floor, concerns, and
yeah.
But even if they hate you, they still have to talk to you.
Yeah.
They could stop things or not hire you, or I guess fire you if they wanted to. But like, if I'm doing my job, doing well by my patients, following procedure, like doing my best, then we shouldn't run into any issues. But if I have attitude towards my coworkers, or they have attitude towards me, and it gets to be a really hostile working environment. And like I said, if I call for help from down the hallway, like, I really want somebody to come help me.
Yeah.
So yeah, just going off of that, I know this is more so a question for her, but Michael, like, for you being like somebody who's in corporate America, would you rather have your coworkers hate you and your manager like you, or would you rather have the manager hate you and your coworkers like you?
You think it's a simpler question, but it actually it's very difficult because of two different aspects. But it's funny in that they're both the same thing, in that both can help you be successful. So you kind of sort of really need both. But I would much rather have it to where my coworkers, like me, because to Irene's point, even though I do IT work very different, if I'm standing somewhere and I've done the same thing and I'm looking at something and I've been looking at it for 3 hours and I still can't figure it out, knowing that I could call any one of my teammates, my coworkers, and say, "Hey, I've been standing here. What am I missing?" That's important, because I'm in a little different situation in that, see, I'd more than likely probably maybe 98 out of 100 times, I'd be by myself. So I can't just stick my head out the door and go, "Hey, can somebody come over here and help me?" Like, I have to get on the phone. And if you don't like me,
You don't have to pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone. Exactly. So from my standpoint, it's almost a little more important that, they like me because like they're not around me. So when I need them, I got to make sure they pick up the phone or else, not very good.
True.
But turn it right back at you. What about you, Anthony?
Honestly, like I feel like I'm the other way around. I would rather my boss like me, and the main reason for that is so that he'll keep me employed and I don't have to worry about job security.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, if it's somebody that's like a peer, you're always going to have people that are your peers that don't like you, either A, because like you're doing a little bit better than them, or B, just because you're more handsome than them, which is something I run into a lot. I mean, people are very put off by these good looks, but
100%.
I mean,
yes, they are.
In all seriousness though, like honestly, like I probably would rather not have the boss hate me, just because I've had scenarios like that in the past, and it's just not fun being around or being employed by somebody who's a butthole. So I would much rather, if people are jabbing at me, be jabbing from my level rather than jabbing down at me, if that makes sense.
It does. And I look at it the same type of way, and because ultimately, it depending on, I don't know, I'm going again by the corporate world versus not, any other world, is that, there are certain times of the year, there are certain times of your career, there are certain times in business when decisions need to be made on personnel, right? Hey, we're down this year, it's a tough year, stuff like that, right? And even though I, want my coworkers to like me, I still have to say, look, I have to be better than you, because when the boss is looking and they're thinking about, man, we have to make a very hard decision here.
Mm-hmm.
I need them to have it in their mind, no way we could lose that guy.
Yeah. 100%.
So you're right. I mean, it's a tough situation to be in, but I don't know. I've been fortunate in that I've had a lot of really good. I've had more good coworkers than I've had bad coworkers.
But like you said, it's kind of like the Goldilocks thing where having both is ideal.
Yep.
100%.
In different situations, and all situations.
Yeah.
Overall, so.
So, if it wasn't nursing, and it wasn't Julie, the cruise director, what would it be for your career?
Why did you have to say not Julie, the cruise director?
Would you be Julie, the cruise director?
Or would you be Julie, the cruise director?
You know what? So,
there might be a lot of people listening. They're going, "Who the hell is Julie, the cruise director?" If you're old,
that's
like
Irene's alter ego.
It's funny because
when she gets off her meds, that's who she is.
I wouldn't necessarily be cruise director, but being almost like a travel agent or like a tour guide, like kind of always sounded interesting to me.
So could your ultimate be a nurse on a cruise ship?
That's a thing.
I've actually thought more and more about it, and I would love to do it. And I just learned recently that there are short-term ones, like 2-week ones that you could do, and not do the entire season, which I thought you had to do, but do like just.
Do they let you pack boyfriends?
They do.
Oh,
I have to pay extra for you, but yes, they do let me pack boyfriends.
I like it.
I've also done work with disabled adults, and that population still has part of my heart. So working with that population again, maybe.
Which you could also incorporate nursing with that too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else have I thought about? I think those are the two main ones.
Cool. So going into our final segment, this is entitled "We Have to Ask, but You Do Not Have to Answer." I'm going to reiterate: you do not have to answer, but being that you are a nurse, I found a question that's only appropriate to ask somebody in your line of work.
Now I'm scared.
Would you rather?
Oh boy.
Have somebody vomit in your hair or crap all over your shirt? And in your line of work, because my mom works in the hospitals, I know this is quite possible to have both happen.
Oh man. You don't have to answer.
You don't have to answer, but we had to ask.
Right.
So I will halfway answer. Vomit also makes me puke. And if you do a trick of putting toothpaste, any toothpaste, grabbing toothpaste out of the supply room and putting it in between two masks and smelling minty fresh toothpaste instead of poop, it actually works.
Huh.
And there are usually changes of clothes somewhere. If it's going down to OR and getting OR scrubs.
Yeah.
So poop on the clothes as opposed to puke in the hair, because changing is a thing.
Changing is an option, and toothpaste in between two masks will mask almost anything.
Well, that makes
By
sense.
the way, it will mask
Challenge accepted.
It will mask porta potty smell. By the way. And I learned this in Panama. I was working with somebody who did not want to use a porta potty. And I'm like, hold on, give me 1 second. Grab two masks, threw some toothpaste. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just go try it. She's like, oh my gosh, that it was a game changer. So I'm like, breathe through your nose and you'll be fine.
There's a life hack for you guys. 2 masks and some toothpaste. Get you through any smell.
Put it right smack in the middle, right where your nose would be, and you're good to go.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Like how some doctors have to operate through some foul smelling
I don't know if they know this hack.
I would imagine that doctors have to know the hack.
She was actually a doctor.
Where'd you learn the hack from?
A random nurse on the unit during COVID, I think.
You're like, I got crap all over my shirt. What should I do?
Take it off extremely carefully or cut the thing off. And throw it in the trash.
Oh my.
You can always buy a new one.
Well,
that's very true.
I appreciate you being a good sport and answering our question, even though you didn't have to.
Thank you.
Michael, do you have any closing questions for Irene before we let her go?
Outside of nursing, what is something that gives you the greatest satisfaction in your life?
I'm just being humble. Don't worry.
Look, I'm just reading the question that you texted me.
Maybe there's a reason why he texted you that question.
No, he didn't. I thought of that one myself.
Honestly, so I have really loved being involved in a church community. And getting more involved with the kids, more involved with the people, helping out with the activities that we do. It's brought me such a joy just to help other people too. And And Anthony and I go have fun.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of fun. But I do got to give you props. What she's talking about with our church, we do a lot of outreach. She's very involved with, us giving out large sums of clothing, food, all kinds of stuff to underprivileged communities. She also is basically the architect of our kids' church program that she and I currently run at our church every Sunday morning.
As we go.
We're learning as we go, but I mean the thing that she has put together, like our kids are excited to come to church every week. Like she developed this church buck system. It's almost like if you go to Dave and Buster's and you win the little tickets, you get prizes at the end.
Cool.
At the end of church, like there's literally a big old line of people coming to meet Miss Irene to get their prizes, and there's everything from like little Dollar Tree toys all the way up to like V-Bucks that the kids could use to like get Fortnite skins or like GameStop gift cards and stuff like that. So all of that came right out of her mind. Yeah. She has a real gift for organizing these things, and so she's been a huge benefit to the church.
That was awesome.
Big shout out to Miss Irene coming up with them church bucks.
Thanks. I like traveling and seeing the world, and like people. It's funny because people are like always so scared of traveling, or they're like, I'm like, just go travel. Like, you will actually meet nice people. Like, they are everywhere.
You do meet some really nice people traveling, don't you?
Yeah. I've had so much fun with it. And like,
who's your favorite person you've ever met traveling? Just out of curiosity, is there any good stories of somebody you've met traveling that you'd like to share?
Just because I met you at an airport.
Yes,
true story.
Yeah, we actually did meet in an airport.
For anybody who's listening, that is our rom-com.
And she actually, like, I was coming back from a sports card show, and she actually liked the cards that I bought that day. Nice. So I was like, wow, maybe there's a future here.
There you go. Look what that bargain box got you, Anthony.
Yep.
Those bargain box finds.
Oh no, his Mickey Mouse card.
Yeah, I ended up getting a Walt Disney Mickey Mouse card that day. That was the big thing. She cool. Likes those tobacco era cards. But yeah,
it is a cool card.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming on today and sharing all of your information with us about nursing and all of that. In closing, if there's somebody watching this that genuinely has a passion for nursing, wants to pursue this with their life, there's people out there that might not feel worthy of being a nurse or might feel inequipped to be a nurse. Like, what would you say to those type of people?
I struggled. I absolutely struggled. I failed a class during nursing school. I had to repeat a class. And if you are dedicated to it, and if you are you know what you want to do with it, then it is worth it. It's not for the faint of heart. Nursing is definitely not for the faint of heart. I definitely have those bad days. It's definitely a challenge mentally and physically, but it's a joy. And I would encourage anybody who has questions or wants to know anything else. It's an associate's degree at a community college. That's where I started. And it was the cheapest degree that I got and the most rewarding. And you could make it work. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on the Picksburgh through YouTube or Instagram.
Yep. Instagram is scrolling below.
Yes.
So, guys, feel free to reach out to there. I will pass the questions on to Miss Irene for you. But
I will answer. And
you did mention the Picksburgh YouTube channel. That's a good place where people can follow your journey and see what good things you're up to.
I currently do not have my own. Much to his.
But she has sort of taken mine over. So yes. There is that.
I have put my 2 cents into his channel. So
most definitely.
And officially on the banner now. So
yeah, she has officially made the banner, guys.
Yep.
So it's been a journey along the way. It's been fun. It's been challenging, and go for it. And there's so much you could do with nursing too. It's not just bedside. You could do management. You could do case managing. You could do insurance stuff. I had a coworker who was leaving bedside. You usually have to do bedside a little bit so you can get the experience and know what you're doing. But she was leaving bedside to work at a lawyer's office to help improve nursing and regulations. And I was like, hold on, this is a thing. So yeah, there's so much you could do. I don't even know half of what's out there, but nice. And you can take it around the world.
That is really nice. That's attractive that your passion can take you places, literally.
And I'm a person who has 10 state nursing licenses.
Yes, and you plan to use those, don't you?
But this is also because I'm from California. Yeah. California doesn't play nice with others. So, but it's been, I would not trade this journey for anything.
Yeah.
From my shy little self 20 years ago.
Yeah.
To where I am today, to meeting
yeah, I mean,
boyfriend at the airport.
Yeah, I came in when you were picking me up at the airport skinning calves. So
yeah,
I'm on the tail end. I can't even imagine like how you got to where you're at. But just in like the last 2 years that I've watched of your journey, I'm like incredibly proud of you. Like especially with the job that you have now, how hard you work to get it, and like how prestigious of a hospital that you work at. It's really cool to see you be able to like really make a difference. So I'm proud of you. But yeah, I guess before we wrap up, Michael, again, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and anything that you have coming up?
Hey, again, Huddle card collection. My channel's more on the sports side. Sports cards, collecting sports cards, talking about it, selling, all that kind of stuff. So if you're into that stuff, also, hey, please go ahead and come on by. I do a weekly podcast on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. called Collecting Profit. Have guests. If we don't have guests, we talk sports cards, we talk selling and stuff like that. So that's what we have going on right now. Again, we're making that slow journey up the subscriber ladder. We're at 476, I think. So
oh wow, that's awesome.
Slowly but surely.
One at a time.
If you're watching,
I'm wearing out these fingers, going up the ladder.
If you're watching / listening, guys, we need, what was it, 24 more people to go over there and get him over 500 subscribers. He puts out great content, and you guys will even see podcasts with he and I on there.
Yeah,
with Collecting Profit.
Sports cards are cool.
Sports cards are cool.
And this is my 2-year journey.
Correct.
And by hanging out with these guys and seeing their passion for it, they're actually a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we appreciate you joining us for the very first episode. We'll be back again next week, so make sure you subscribe, and you won't miss a single one of these episodes we put out. If you have any ideas of people you'd like to see us interview, or if you yourself would like to come on the show, because there really is no parameters to achieve more podcasts. Essentially, We're looking to talk to people who are either A, successful, or B, have overcome something and are now on the other end.
Or even in the middle of that journey, and
yeah,
you're not at the beginning.
yeah, would love to hear from you guys. So again, leave us some comments, and we would love to hear your feedback going into next week. Till the next podcast, God bless you guys.
God
God
bless.
bless.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm from the city. I'm from the city. The city is. I'm from the city. The city is.